Ain't Linda Paris aboard the Titanic because there was no lifeline for our ancestors. Again, hit that like button, share and subscribe, and don't forget our ancestors who died on the Titanic. Black Titanic. So, Stormy Steele, Mom Betty come from Melody. Yes, she did. Just coming from All About the Tea. Yes, it said, loving Mary Huntsville star Stormy Steele. Mother is exposing Melody after her daughter was accused of secretly recording in private conversation between the ladies. Y'all know, y'all remember that when Melody she knew Melody. Melody came out and said that, you know, she wasn't talking about Stormy. And Stormy knew that she had problems with, what's this girl?
Up on me and my family, May 13th of 1985. And
so this haven't been so long ago, you guys. Some of you guys was even here during that time. But I just wanted to say that John Africa was the leader of this group. At this time, I think they had him in jail already. So, and then the reason she lived to tell the story. Now they bombed her house up, killed all her family members, and they put that girl in prison. She was 26 years old when she went to prison. Shout out to Ramona, you guys. These are our freedom fighters. You guys don't know about our freedom fighters because you don't read. She's still alive. She's still out here fighting. Still out here fighting, you guys.
11 of my family members, I was there. I was born and raised in West Philadelphia. I went to Temple University and I was headed to law school. But after I met MOVE, I wanted to be a revolutionary. MOVE is a revolutionary organization founded by John Africa that believes in revolution, not in fighting and bloodshed, but true revolution. I joined MOVE in 1979. I was listening to what was happening with MOVE and could not believe that the cops were attacking MOVE the way they were.
Until today, there was a house in Philadelphia filled with people who for years confounded everybody. They called themselves MOVE and never said what that meant. They tried to live in the city as if it were the forest, ignoring modern plumbing, trash collection, or rat control. They offended the neighbors first and then the city, which ordered them out last year. Today, the city went to move them. As firemen,
y'all see that? There's such a racist comment. They live like rats. Then they're going to talk about their beautiful natural hair, their dreadlocks. Have you to know now, our hair do not have laces in it. Those dreadlocks that he mentioned are clean and beautiful hair. It's our hair.
Crawled forward with a water hose. Shots rang out.
The MOVE 9 were 9 of our sisters and brothers who were arrested unlawfully for the murder of a police officer and given a 30 to 100 year sentence.
Last December, 9 MOVE members went on trial for the death of Officer Ramp.
Everybody knew that MOVE did not kill a cop because MOVE was in the basement. Officer James Ramp was standing up on street level, and the media said he was shot on a downward angle. So there's no way that MOVE could have shot him.
They wear their hair in dreadlocks because they reject combs as symbols of industrialization, which they're...
Y'all hear that? Our natural hair. Of course, they wear their hair naturally. We reject the natural civilization. Would a person that's civilized do this to a human being? Don't get me to talking about who's civilized. All that stuff that went on in slavery, you know, during our ancestors, all the tears and bloodshed and the hanging and the mutilation you guys did, and you want to talk about somebody being civilized? Would a civilized people go in and bomb up a race of people because you feel like they're different?
Back to nature philosophy opposes. Their basic goal is to overthrow the present system of government, which they consider to be corrupt.
People thought MOVE was crazy at that time because of the media.
They spew out obscenities when they talk.
Terrible language.
Rizzo said that he wanted MOVE out of Philadelphia.
It's amazing that this group has been running loose now for a half a dozen, couple, 3-4 years that I know of, and they should have been in prison many, many months ago.
We moved into Osage Avenue because that was our headquarters. It was warm and loving. There was children there. We would take them to the park. That was mainly our day. Some people said we was on the loudspeaker day and night, every day. That was just a lie, probably promulgated by the police along with the media. We were getting along with our neighbors and nothing was going on. That's why we were surprised and shocked when hundreds of cops invaded our area trying to throw MOVE out of our home. And this was on Sunday, Mother's Day.
There is a small war underway on a street in Philadelphia tonight. It has been going on all day between hundreds of Philadelphia police and a bizarre Back to Nature group called MOVE.
Nothing happened all day, but that night, Gregor Sambor, the police commissioner, got on a loudspeaker and said, "Attention, MOVE, this is America. You had 15 minutes to come out." Well, obviously we didn't come out because we knew they wanted to kill us. They didn't want to arrest us. They could have done that anytime.
It was shortly before 6 a.m. when police moved in with tear gas and water cannon to evict members of the extremist group MOVE.
When we were in the basement for a while, we didn't feel anything. And then the water started coming down on us. I mean, rushing down on us.
What we intended to do was to create a diversion on the roof of the MOVE compound.
It was hard to breathe. Our children were soaking wet. And then they started with the tear gas.
Tear gas started coming in. We got the blankets and they was wet, and then we put them over our heads and started laying down.
They blew a hole in the house to the left of us to try to come through it, to come after us.
What we wanted them to do was to come out of the front of 6221 Osage and surrender.
We tried to get out after that. We tried to bring the kids out and was shot at into the house.
A gun battle erupted.
They shot over 10,000 bullets. So that was their intent, to kill everybody in that house.
I don't think that they should kill the people and their babies. They should find another solution.
After that, that's when the silence was. It was a long interval of silence, and we didn't know what they were doing. We felt comfortable for a minute. And then the bomb was dropped. The house shook. It shook. And then we start feeling the heat and the smoke, which we knew wasn't tear gas. We knew there was a fire in the house. We heard the crackling of the trees that was in back of Osage.
The night skies over West Philadelphia, bright with flames. As many as 60 buildings may be on fire.
I was told, and I saw newspaper issues about people yelling to the firefighters to put the fire out? Why wasn't they putting the fire out?
They dropped the bomb on the house to take care of one move family. One move out, they done burn up 2 blocks. Explain that.
It was all in the newspaper that Sambor told the fire commissioner to let the fire burn.
The fire burned for an hour and a half before police called in firefighters. Tonight, it is unknown exactly how many MOVE members may have escaped the blaze, or how many, perhaps, were trapped inside.
We all decided we was coming out, and we were bringing the children out of the house and hollering to the police, we're coming out, we're bringing the children out. And their response was gunshots. Bertie was right behind me. So when I decided to come out, I grabbed him. And that's how we both got out of that house, that blazing inferno. Police grabbed me and arrested me and put handcuffs on my arms, even though I was burnt. And they grabbed Bertie and put him in a police van and took him away. I never saw him again. In the hospital, I was looking for the rest of my family to come in, and nobody came in behind me. And that's when I knew some of my family, at least, were dead.
Philadelphia police this morning continue searching for more bodies in the burned rubble of a West Philadelphia neighborhood.
One by one, more bodies of MOVE members were found in the rubble of their fortress home. The toll now higher than most had expected.
5 children and 6 adults. Nobody was ever arrested for the murder of my family. Nobody went to jail but me. I was arrested. I was the only one put on trial for arson, conspiracy, everything that they did. They charged me with. The jury found me guilty. I was sentenced to 16 months to 7 years. So I did the whole 7 years. I haven't been back to Osage Avenue since May 13th of 85. It was 61 or so houses burned. It was damaged to the core. The people that lived on there took a while to come back, because some of them never came back.
City taxpayers spent $33 million to rebuild the houses.
The homes that was rebuilt, they had sinking foundations, they got leaking roofs, the electricity was messed up. They looked like project houses. Today, I still have the burn scars from May 13th of 85. And some people have told me, you should get cosmetic surgery. They can take that off. And I'm saying, why would I want to take it off? I want to be reminded. Our significance today is the consistent example of MOVE. Keep fighting, no matter what, because people could look at MOVE and say, I don't want to be in jail for 30 or 40 years. I don't want to die. I don't want to have a bomb dropped on me. But the thing is, you could die any day of the week.
So you see, there were a fire above the Titanic. Yes, it was. David was my Aunt Linda's best friend. They came from Bessemer, Alabama, you guys. Yeah, they were friends. But there were fire above the Titanic. It went off and reported that the Titanic had sunk by way of an iceberg. But everybody knew in Bessemer, all our ancestors knew it was that fire that put that hole in that ship. In some ways, David thought, I didn't understand why the colonel helped me. This was a rare occasion coming from the white man, but he was grateful. Well, you see, my Aunt Linda had quit She was working for this family aboard the Titanic, but the coroner used to beat his wife all the time. The wife was trying to keep it covered up, much less every woman do in a domestic case. So Melinda decided to quit. And Linda said, you'll never blame those bruises on me. I'm in a strange place, David thought, and in a compromising position. I am amongst the cruelest, pale-faced people on this planet. They eliminate you for sports. Yes, we saw that. We saw the bombing of the Move people. They were just being eliminated for no reason at all. Romana was the surviving. She was the only one to survive with one little 9-year-old boy. She said they put 10,000 rounds on us. Every time me and my family tried to run out, they started shooting. They wanted us to die. They are notorious and the number one eliminator in the world. The list of murders and inhumane treatment of African ancestry globally is a genocidal war waged against the survival of Black families. See, Amona knew that they were trying to kill her family. How can all my children and me survive when every time we try to come out the door of this burning, y'all dropping bombs on us? It's burning, it's hot, just like it was on the Titanic. Convulsion and burning, you could hear the glass crackling, the fire crackling, the glass, the glass on board the Titanic. You could hear the fire crackling the glass on Osage Street in Philadelphia, says Romana. Yes. Of course, it became clear to David that his tribal sister Melinda made a deal with colonels Ashley to go back to work in exchange for his life. You see, he had been burnt up because the pale face had hit him with a red hot shovel. He didn't want to take in any orders from a Negro, but David was the best it was. He was a stoker or fireman in the bowels of the Titanic or the basement of the Titanic. That's where they were. That's where the stokers, the Black firemen, was in the bowels of the Titanic. They was working hard day and night to keep the fire from spreading. Oh, but that Euro still was down there being racist. They were down there picking fights while our ancestors was trying to keep the fire from spreading. But instead of the Euro to go to jail, they sent David to jail. So that's what he mean, Aunt Linda. She went and compromised. I'll go back to work. Just free David. We need him. This fire's going to spread and burn up everybody on this ship. We need David, and I'll come back to work. Still on the scene lays a wounded man, which was the most frightening part of the fire. He noticed his burnt skin coming off while Melinda cleaned it, much like Romana said. She said, all my skin was coming off. I'm burnt. I still got scars today, but they keep telling me to have cosmetic surgery, but I can't do it. I gotta be reminded of my family that got killed in the fire on Philadelphia Street. That's what bonds me, is these scars on my arm. So Melinda made a deal with Colin. We said that in exchange for David's life. Still on the scene lays a wounded man, which was the most frightening part of the fire. Fire was on board the Titanic, y'all. Fire. Then she applies cold compressors to it. Then she sprinkled healing herbs to the burnt area. Because you see, that was Melinda's job. She knew about the earth. She learned about every healing herb on the earth. The earth was her pharmaceutical, and that's what got her popular. That's how she traveled the world with those rich white women. Not long after, the victim was escorted by Colonel Ashley while Melinda was following. But without a doubt, she had already set up a clinic on the third class, mainly for the African. Yeah, it was where Tori was taken. After stabilizing him, he asked, "Where are you from?" Anyway, she's from Bessemer, Alabama. Moving on down. "You see, you are my brother," replied Melinda. "You see, you are my sister. And your story is my story, and your tragedy are my tragedy. Sip this. You are my brother. You are my sister. And your story is my story, and your tragedy is my tragedy. Sip this. Sip this knowledge, you guys. Because that same story that was in 1985, that same story that in 1921, that same story that is in 1921 on this ship is today. You are my brother. You are my sister. Your story is my story, and your tragedy is mine." Moving on along. Then Tori lifted his head. He drank a herbal painkiller mixed with antibiotic that quickly put him to sleep. This man was suffering. He was burnt all over. That's all Melinda could do so he would not feel the pain, Can you imagine the pain of Ramona, a boy that in that house, watching all her kids die? The whole family got killed, burnt, quenched alive. Oh, how she wished she would have had a painkiller. Oh, how she wished she would have had help. Now in Philadelphia on Osage Street, they didn't have no help. They refused to allow the firemen to put the water out. Now the remaining stokers became alarmed. Stokers were just the black firemen downstairs. The coals began to have spontaneous combustion. Yeah. It's got bad on the Titanic, you guys. It was bad.
The front of 6221 Osage and surrender.
We tried to get out after that. We tried to bring the kids out, and we shot back into the house.
A gun battle erupted.
They shot over 10,000 bullets. So that was their intent, to kill everybody in that house.
I don't think that they should kill them.
So that's what they did. They tried to kill everybody in that house. David said that they are notorious and they are the number one eliminator on earth. Go back now. Now the remaining stokers became alarmed. The coals began to have spontaneous combustion. Everyone worked as fast as they could. Some used water buckets. Others used hose. David yelled, "If we keep the coal dry, we can control the fire." But not there on Osage Street. While the fire was still burning, the white stokers, they became weak. But you see, these firemen, they never even attempt to help. Everybody in the house was dead. They burned crisp, and all the neighbors were standing out. All they could say is,
"They should find another solution."
After that, that's when the silence was. It was a long interval of silence, and we didn't know what they were doing. We felt comfortable for a minute. And then the bomb was dropped. The house shook. It shook. And then we start feeling the heat and the smoke, which we knew wasn't tear gas. We knew there was a fire in the house. We heard the crackling of the trees that was in back of Osage.
the night skies over West Philadelphia.
So in Philadelphia, she said, we heard the crackling of the trees. We heard the cracklings of the windows busting out. They had no help. Oh, but you see, there was a fire aboard the Titanic. Fire! Bunker number 5, bunker number 6, there's fire. Fire! Yes, fire. Soon, boiler room number 5 and 6 became flaming red, and new firemen was sent down to help. That help never came for Ramona and her children and her family on Osage. Philadelphia, May the 13th, 1985. They wouldn't even help. The night skies was covered with smoke. Yes, it was on Osage. And every 4 hours they exchanged shift. They used fire hose to smother the coals just like the first crew. They placed flaming coals inside the boilers. Then an Aboriginal Irishman named Nago turned to David. He said, I heard there's a fire in the reserve coal bunker as well. So he heard there was another fire. The fire kept coming aboard the Titanic. Fire on the Titanic. Bombs kept coming. Yeah, for the move people. Bombs kept coming. May the 13th, 1985, Philadelphia, a black street was burnt.